Let's move along to this next fight here at 145 pounds, featherweight division. We got Westin Wilson taking on Gene Silva. This is an interesting fight because Gene Silva is a guy that I don't know a ton about, right? He's out of Fighting Nerds, great camp that I love, Caio Barajo and the boys, right? Great gym, very smart. They know what they're doing. I actually think I've heard Gene Silva maybe on Caio Barajo's podcast before because I listen to Caio Barajo do picks on the UFC. I think he's a very smart guy, very insightful. He's a fighting nerd. I like to consider myself a fighting nerd. So I don't train at the gym, but I like to just, consider myself of the same ethos, the same spirit as these guys. And Gene Silva went out there on Contender Series last time out, got a clear unanimous decision win. He's big on the elbows against the fence. He's a damaging, violent striker. He likes to go out there and throw heavy shots. You look at his wins, it shows, right? 8 wins by knockout. Out of his 11 professional wins. So vast majority of the time, he's going out there looking to take somebody's head off, looking to swing, looking to finish. And we know that Westin Wilson is liable to getting clipped, getting rocked, getting hurt. He runs forward. He puts his chin on the line. He is also a guy that can get submitted, 11-4 career to the submission. So he's much more dangerous than you'd expect on the ground from an upstate karate guy. But in addition, he is a guy that has more liabilities on the feet than you would expect for an upstate karate guy, right? So I think Westin Wilson, last time out against Joe Anderson Brito, showed off the fact that he's not, a slouch. He's not out there to just give up in these fights. He's trying to win, but he also just doesn't necessarily have the physicality or the durability to take some of these huge shots from big guys. And Joe Anderson Brito, we know he can separate any man from consciousness. So no shame in losing that fight, but the fight that's really concerning for me is in 2022, he got knocked out brutally by Teruto Ishihara in a fight that looked so ugly, just chasing after him, throwing 1-2s, not showing the best finishing instincts. He had hurt Teruto a couple times, I thought, and he didn't follow up very well. He was getting his legs kicked out from underneath him. He didn't take advantage of opportunities to try and out-grapple Ishihara. So I don't know that Westin Wilson is all the way there, but in terms of feathers in his cap and in terms of things that you could point to as a positive, I listened to an interview that he did. He said that he's going, with the John Danaher guys. He's been doing rounds with Gary Tonin. That's a great guy to get rounds with. He's been doing, directions under John Danaher, picking his brain about all sorts of martial arts. I think that's great for your career, for your development. But how much is that going to change the outcome in this fight? It seems like Brazilians with power might not be a good recipe for this guy, Westin Wilson, but I'm just going to have to look into the ground game of Gene Silva and make sure he's not going to give up some comical submission. But I think training with a guy like Caio Barajo, training with the Fighting Nerds, they should have him, wised up for exactly what to expect here. Keep your distance, manage the fight, do some damage. You should be able to get Westin Wilson out of the fight more often than not. And so hopefully Westin Wilson eventually is able to get a win in the UFC. But I just think that this is not a great matchup for him to do so. Gene Silva seems like a guy that could just have too much power and too much aggression for a guy that's been clipped a couple times and taken out of the fight.